Okay, so welcome everybody after lunch, and we can continue our conference, and let's welcome two speakers, Valdas and Šarūnas.
Hello. Hi. Kaip čia įsijungia? Hello everyone, I'm Valdas Šimas, and as a manager, one of the managers of CSC Baltics, it's a great pleasure to welcome you today in this event and in our session. I hope you will enjoy this. And just before starting our presentation, introduction of CSC, introduction of the team I represent with Šarūnas, and the introduction of our topic, Agile Goes Mainstream, we would like to agree on some couple thumb rules. So question answer session is after presentation, and today we have two gifts for most proactive participants. So be proactive after the presentation, ask your questions, and hopefully we'll have answers to them. So most probably you already got some information about CSC today or have read on our website who we are. We're a Fortune 200 company, the largest IT service provider to global companies. Over the 90,000 people, professionals, CSC professionals, are serving more than 2,500 companies around the world. And over 5 decades, the technology has stressed our environment and has changed it significantly. The environment where we live, the environment where we work, and CSC remains as a key driver, key player in an IT service area. And what we have understood that technology change and innovations are the things which brings an added value to our customers. The customers who are spread around the world, same as our service centers, data centers, delivery centers, more than 70 countries. And we are trusted by global companies, by demanding companies, innovative ones, and the most successful. You can find both government companies and the business companies within different sectors. Myself represent CSC Baltic Project Management Team, which consists of more than 80 professionals right now, and still we're growing, and we have aggressive targets to achieve more than 100, maybe almost 200 people within the next 5 years, for instance. And we are trusted by internal and external companies, internal and external customers, and we are seen as an ambitious, talented team, the ones who can challenge, who can work with the challenges, the ones who can drive projects to success. And if we're talking about the success, here's our topic, and I will introduce the first part of it, and my colleague Šarūnas will share some experience, some examples from our experience. So the topic is, what is a project success? And first of all, I would like to start from the failures of the projects. Despite of advances in the project management, despite of different methodologies, tools and techniques, projects still failing. And I think one of the reasons why you are here, you're trying to find out a silver bullet, or you're trying to find out a solution which would help you to improve your rate of delivering projects to success. But is the methodology the main thing which helps you to achieve success? Being as a manager of 80 people, I saw lots of projects, saw lots of success, and also saw lots of failures within small scope, within mid-scope or large complex programs which been running within the global clients. So before we go into some details, first let's define project success. what is a project success. And my suggestion is, let's try to take a look from the customer perspective, how the customer sees the project being successful. First of all, how it improves customer performance, how it improves customer experience. Does it helps to implement new services? Does it helps to implement new business units or establish new business units? Is that a positive return of investment? Does it helps to increase revenue? Also, was it delivered within budget and within the scope? And here, I would say that these are the main outputs. These are the main factors, or these are the main definitions of a project being success. Yeah, we can have our own definition. We can always challenge the customer saying, okay, there was some scope creeps, you have changed requirements, but still it didn't bring any value to the customer. And this is the outcome of the combination of 3 different areas. It's organizational background, its external environment and technological framework. The methodology, it's not just enough to know the techniques and tools. It's not just enough to use Agile or Waterfall. It doesn't help to combine those 3 areas. Main thing who can help you, it's a project leadership. The project leadership, which helps to combine human and technical factors into dynamic environment, which is delivering results. The project leadership required for the project team to make the team work, to bring projects to success. Also, the project leadership inspires project team, integrates them, and makes them to function efficiently. What do I mean saying project leadership? In different methodologies, we have different definitions. It's Scrum Masters, Product Owners, Project Managers, Project Leads, PMOs, Managers, Team Leaders, People Managers. They all belong to project leadership. So we don't split into some specific definitions. We just say, okay, it's project leadership, and they are the key driver, the key factor which helps us to achieve better results comparing to our techniques. But saying that the project leadership is the only thing who can help, it's not true. Definitely project leadership has to gain knowledge in technical area. They have to understand how to use different tools, how to use different processes, how to use different methodologies. They have to know how to combine human factor, the fundamentals of project management, and with the scope or with the context. Also, we have to know how to integrate customer expectations as well in order to deliver it to success. So the truth is that being technically competent in some principles of project methodologies, in some tools, processes, procedures, is not the only thing which helps you to achieve success. And many projects, despite of, as I said, usage of Agile, of Waterfall, or any other tools, doesn't mean that you will succeed with delivery. And don't overdevelop, or don't use only few methodologies. Don't limit yourself, don't limit your behavior only with few techniques. But you have to spread, you have to take a broader look at the knowledge area. You have to take a broader look at what the market is using. Is it only Agile? Is it only Waterfall? No. And Šarūnas, my colleague, will join the presentation. He will present best examples of how to make sure the leadership with different methodologies and achieve the success. So please welcome Šarūnas.
Yeah.
And
thanks. Okay.
Spark.
Thank you very much, Valdas. So I'm working as a project and program manager in CSC Baltic, and Valdas does a super great job combining this department with the best specialists. So that's why we are here, present some of the insights we already did in CSC, and what Valdas just presented is the top areas on which we should expect from the people when working with a global corporation. So as Valdas mentioned, we are more than 86 or 87,000 people globally, with more than 70 countries worldwide, delivering projects to very big clients. And in this case, adapting Agile sometimes is a challenge. And this is the topic of today, that Agile in fact goes mainstream. And is it Waterfall, Agile, or hybrid to focus on? Because if we speak about the big global corporations, you have a lot of the organizational structural layers and etc. What our colleague Nielsen and Matthias mentioned, that's a challenge. So if we have this global corporation and you are a big Agile fan, if you are from a small, medium company or also one of the big one, if you have more than 1,000 workers, and if you look for those challenges. So I believe if you had started to think about that, that's a challenge. How can you adopt Agile? Because the teams are usually not on site. They usually leverage resources, virtual, and so, etc. So in this case, that's a challenge, and in this topic I will try to cover this, how we did manage this challenge and continues to do that, to deliver projects on budget, on schedule. Now, a couple of things I would like to mention. So, for example, Agile Scrum, Kanban are most of the methods that are successfully used in software industry. Agile came from 2001 in Utah, where all the people gathered together to draw this Agile manifesto. But when we talk about the mainstream, when we talk about different industries, what happens then? So from State of Agile Development, the latest report, more than 80% of respondents from 4,000 of employees in different companies responded from software area. So that means that most of the people still runs the Agile in a software development. In the software, if you're not running Agile, from my point of view, you're already late for the train. But that's some companies already finding that. That's good. But when we talk about other areas, and if we have to work with the infrastructure guys, if we have to work with other industries, Agile is becoming more and more popular. In the lunch break, I had a chat with Lasse Ziegler. He's a great trainer of. We did some CSM and CSPO some time ago, and we had a chat. And he just introduced one company already went in the lean, thinking 15 years ago, and now found out the Agile, and he's supporting that company. So I believe some time ago he would also share the insights. So there are a lot of examples where Agile is being used in not only software development. Some are doing car manufacturing, some are doing wedding planning, etc. But now we will try to present how this company, CSC, managed to use Agile methodology practices in a corporate environment. And what about the other areas? What about the non-software areas? So like services, transportation, finance, services, infrastructure, IT, and other areas are likely to use traditional waterfall-based approach, because the pure Agile waterfall usually does not work by itself. But what about those areas? How they survive, how they work? Because we as a software industry people are able to deliver quickly, but do they adapt? I would like to ask one question. Do you have any project managers in this room? Yeah, there are some, great. Are there any program managers? Okay, great. So developers, software developers. Okay, are some, cool. Testers, I would like to find the audience. Who there? Okay, great. So that's okay. And who is from software industry? Not much, great. So we have the target audience, that's super. And all the rest, I believe, from other industries, so that will be super cool for you to listen how you can use those methodologies in your environment. Because we have also companies from energetic field, etc., which are also doing the business in Lithuania. So that's especially important to understand where you can benefit from those methods, where they can add your value. If you're a public sector or business sector, that doesn't matter. You can just use the best practices now. So moving forward, what about the success rate? Even as colleague Valdas mentioned, the success rate is not very high in waterfall or Agile-based approach. If we look into the latest report of Agile State of Development, you find that purely successful projects are only 18%. What about the rest? They are failing. They are Agile projects and they are still failing, so it's not a silver bullet, so we don't have to mix that. But what Valdas mentioned, and I would like to repeat, is the project leadership is the key. So what our colleagues mentioned in today, two keynote speeches, like no organization is needed, etc. So that is all true. But you can imagine the big corporation without any management, without any organization. That should be in place, but you have to adopt the different practices. And most important for people who has to bring a success is a leadership. Either you are an engineer, are you a software developer, program manager, project manager, no matter who you are, or project leader or PMO, etc. You have to bring the project leader in your site. That's a theory Y, what Matthias mentioned. So if you think you are from theory X, so you should think about yourself again, and maybe you already can find some points that you are from theory Y, as Matthias mentioned today. So this is very important that the leadership would be available from your side, even if you are doing the small part of the whole project, of the whole work, or if you're working in the operationals, because you contribute to the company. Now, different methodology combination also gives the ultimate power reaching company success. Why? Because if you understand the tools like it's fork and knife and where you can use those, maybe you can use some chopsticks, etc. So you have to understand what tools you would use in different situations. So then you have the awareness. And then it comes, it's waterfall, agile, or hybrid to use. If your company is purely agile, that's fine. If your company is purely based on traditional approach, that's also fine if you're having a great success. But if you have some failures and you think, how can we improve? Then you should look into two camps, waterfall and the agile, basically the North and South Pole. And they look into the combination, how they can work together. And let's go a little bit further. So agile project management is not a silver bullet, that you understand. Just one slide to explain where the agile and waterfall sticks into the environment. So if you have everything predictable, everything is pretty much clear, you can use waterfall-based approach suitably, and that's fine if it works. But when it's getting more complex, more chaotic, or even coming to anarchy, then there is the agile project management method, and the group of methods and set of methods. So when it's anarchy, agile will not help, that's for sure. So this is the small map for you to remember, and maybe Google up after this presentation where the agile and waterfall may be placed in the map to understand where one of the methods may be used. And of course, there comes the combination of both. Now, what I have here is 5 critical agile and plan-driven factors for you to make your solution. What will be fit the best? Agile or plan-driven, this traditional-based waterfall method. It's from Boyan and Turnell, balancing between agility and discipline. So if you have some projects, programs, or operational work, whatever, you may look up into this map from this author, from this book. You may also order this if you want, so that's not bad one. And you can evaluate your personnel. Are there not experienced people, or are there more experienced people? So if there's more experienced people, the advice from this author is also going to agile. If the dynamism, for example, change per month is also increasing, so we also should stick to more agile, adaptive to change project management method. If we have a culture between chaos and order, you can also see about your program or project or whatever activity you're doing, what methodology would suit you best. Now, if it's really getting to the chaos, so agile project management is also the best because it brings the people together. It makes them work together in order to fix that chaos into more order. And if everything is really fine, everything is in order, you can work in traditional project management way, and that's fine. PMI school, for example. Now, about the size, there's also offering that if it's small teams, then you should go for agile. But you should not also forget the scalability of the agile, if it's possible in your team, if it's possible in your company. About the scalability, what I'm talking, for example, the Scrum, one of the most popular method of Agile umbrella. So Scrum of Scrum, for example. Does anyone heard Scrum of Scrum or try it? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Does anyone try it, Scrum of Scrum? Okay, I see. Yeah, cool. So this means that it's also possible to have Agile on big teams. So it doesn't mean that if you have people on the team, you should start Agile. So this is also to understand. There are possibilities to scale Agile, and there are quite a lot of topics presented some time ago, and also use cases how the Agile scales. And about the criticality, so loss due to impact. If there are many lives, so the author suggests to use a plan-driven approach. For example, if you are building plant using Agile methods, and there is a bug in the plant, and it, boom, yeah? So that a lot of lives could be lost. But if you are comfortable about some bugs in your software or infrastructure, that's okay. But if we are delivering IT infrastructure, for example, servers, etc., if the customer would receive 10 servers they didn't want to, with different specifications, that would look a little bit awkward. When it's a bug, it's easier for customer to understand. There is a bug, nobody is seeing the bug. So they just hide this feature, they fix it, that's all. Because, for example, myself, background is from software and infrastructure, so I can see those two poles here. So when you have something physical delivered wrongly, then it's really, what is this? So bugs cost more, the criticality. So keep this map or in your pocket or somewhere around if you are deciding what methodology you should choose. Whether it's more agile suitable, whether it's more traditional approach suitable, because both of CAMs has best practices there. And you should look forward to combine them. Okay, moving a little bit forward, so some challenges in the corporation level. So if we look at the corporations, usually we have virtual teams. They are not dedicated, so they are leveraged teams, and they are spread out around the world. For example, I run some projects that are people in Saudi Arabia, Australia, Germany, UK, etc., and they are working for the same project. And they are not dedicated to myself. They can spend, for example, a couple of hours because we do not need more, but they are still in the team. So you have to understand also those challenges in the corporation if you do so. Also, some companies in Lithuania, some smaller or medium, do some offshoring as well. So some challenges also applies to you as well, I think. Now, the next challenge is specialized lines of services, so people who has some certificates, some licenses to do some special stuff. If you talk about not only software development, the cross-functionality is hard to reach, because there could be people who can only access the data center, for example, do some connections and so on. Only he is allowed, so that's also a challenge. Now, about self-organizing, that's a challenge about the traditional approach teams. If you see the big company, there is usually the team lead or a team manager who assigns the work, who is supposed to know all the capacities, etc. So that's also a challenge, because if you approach those teams as a project manager or program manager, and they are traditionally based approach teams, so you have to mentor them. So it's the change beginning from yourself. So it doesn't matter from what company you're working, for what position you're working, you can start to change by yourself, understanding those two poles, traditional approach and agile driven, and start to combine them into your workplace. Now, a success is only with good project leadership, as I mentioned. So it doesn't matter what position you take on. And I put a star here because I already guessed that there will be more topics about this on this conference, and I was in this case right. So we have the theory X, Y, the Matthias and Nielsen presentation that was really good, and you have to understand there are more factors than project leadership. So there's a management support that's also very important. If you don't have any management support, that's a challenge for you, because if you're changing yourself only, so that's just a small step. But you should speak with your management if there are still struggles. Valdas gave also quite good presentation some time ago also about the convincing the manager to give a try and to understand the change. So I believe from this presentation you can also put this as a stepping stone and bring to your manager and to see what corporations already adapt those two methodologies and combine themselves. So it's not from books, it's not a theory, it's from practice. So moving on forward, some success stories I would like to share with you, the different areas we already used Agile and in some case Waterfall approach, combination with Agile, just a very few, because now we're going on to mainstream here. So for example, the services industry, service area. So we have the PMO. Does anyone here is from PMO? No? Oh, okay, great, we have some PMOs. So Agile PMO, I believe that's also familiar to you, or maybe you have heard that. So when you have traditional PMO, it's rather a challenge to have this PMO converted to Agile, for example. PMO stands for Project Management Office. So when it's a big corporation, you have a lot of things to do, and as a project manager, you could go crazy on the day one. But there is a PMO organization who supports you, basically. So that's a strong organization in the bigger companies, really doing a great job. Now, we had this transition and transformation run purely on Agile. So we had one team based in Denmark, and some of the team has been in Lithuania afterwards. So we have the combination of that. So managing this transition to Lithuania, part of the team, and transformation to moving into more agile approach was a challenge. Because if we would use any traditional based approach, if we do the planning and the execution, etc., we would lose at the day one. But we were doing in iterations. So the team was having a Scrum board, etc., purely by the book Scrum at that time. That was one of the pilots we ran, and that was really great success. So the program executive was also very happy about that, even though he was a traditional project manager. And that was one of the case proven that Agile is available to use in the different areas, not only in the software development. Now we have one example from transportation. We have in different regions one big program running in EMEA, Asia Pacific, setting up and maintaining the client new sites worldwide. So we've done some new sites in Australia, in Saudi Arabia, in Germany, etc. And all that was also managed as a portfolio with the leveraged virtual teams. So after this presentation, I believe you will have some questions. You may ask how, because I'm trying to stick into the time. Still we have some. So this is really a challenge that was a great success as well. And we managed to run it as an agile approach with the people who are traditional based, virtual, and leveraged. So as Valdas mentioned, the most people who will ask most and will interact, they can get 2 prizes. And I believe this is one of the cases you can interact. Now, financial services, we do some also programs in business IT refresh continuity programs. It also is a globally program in all the EMEA, for example, running the infrastructure. So the things are tangible, that's not a software. And when the tangible things are in the bugs, as I mentioned, that could cost really a lot. So that's why the management expect you to have plan. Everything is settled, risks managed, the issues also mitigated, etc. So these are normal expectations. I would do the same if I would be the client. But then you have to think again what we can improve in there, because there's still a success and failure rate globally is quite big, I would say, for both camps. Either it's traditional based or the agile. Next things I would like to show around is the infrastructure IT. So it's the most parts of what we are doing here in Lithuania. We're working mostly on infrastructure projects. Also some other initiatives as well are increasingly rapidly. But from this is the cloud, for example, data center, physical server, wires, appliances, software combination, overall running hybrid models. All of those things are running in the hybrid model. Some are more agile, some are less. But this is the message for you if you are still considering whether it would suit or not. Think again and start to doing that. Now, what can we call those hybrid? Would it be Waterfall or Agile Fall? So be aware about this Agile Fall, don't fall from there. But that's the terms we came across, because now when you do the hybrids, you should not mix them too much. If you start mapping the traditional approach into Agile, it will be Agile Fall. So don't fall in this case. Okay, so moving forward, what's next? Waterfall and Agile, in fact, can work together. Let's just slide some examples from CSC. And the project leadership is essential for you, whatever position you are taking into your company. And look for the new insights and different perspective of Agile. Because those topics which were presented today and will be presented, they are showing the different perspectives. So keep closely listening to them. And if you want to hear more about the success stories, please visit our stand. There's in 5.1, I believe, conference room. So you can ask the people who already manage those projects. If you were very lucky, he will be there on the stand. So he can explain more. And now I believe it's right time for some questions. And I will be glad to answer the questions together with Valdas. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, any questions for our speakers about Waterfall and Agile mix, or everything was very clear?
2 presents for you.
2 presents, yes. There are 2 presents for the questions. Yes, there are 1 question at the end.
Hi, I have a question. How do you work with the remote teams and the project leadership if you have distributed teams within the world?
Yeah, very good question. I was waiting for this. That's basically, this is the biggest challenge, because the teams are not co-located and they are not dedicated. So that's two points that Agile Manifesto says that you should have your co-located teams and dedicated teams. So how do we deal that? We have special tools. Well, that's quite easy to use, the teleconferences, the virtual tools for managing your Agile board, the backlog, etc. So they are all involved in that room. When you have a daily stand-ups, when you have a sprint planning, the retrospective, the grooming, etc. So all those practices are being used virtually by some tools. So those tools are quite easy to use for everyone. Even an engineer who is doing some data center work is able to connect quickly and to participate in the daily Scrum, for example. Yeah.
Okay. One question here. And then I'll go to you, okay?
Could you tell an example of Agile and Waterfall steps, for example, in software projects? How do you do it? Analysis, architecture development, what are the steps in the mix, in the hybrid, I mean?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, good one. For software, there should be a reason why to do Waterfall, right? Yeah, so I believe there is, if you're asking this question. But you should first find out the reason why you are doing a traditional approach if you're doing such. So maybe there are some regulations, maybe there's public sector laws, etc. Yeah, for example. So that's what binds you to the Waterfall. So there was a very good presentation by Alexei Kovalov. He will also speak today, but he was representing the public sector, for example. So in the public sector, you can have this as a wrapping, and inside you can run Scrum, for example. That's the case also possible in corporations. We do such if needed. So if it would be regulatory requirements for you to run in the waterfall, you can align with the deadlines, with the milestones, etc. Purely with the Microsoft project, for example, and internally you can run Agile in the waterfall wrapping. Yeah.
Thank you. And one more question.
And sorry, one more, be open with your team so they understand what you're doing. This is a wrapping, and inside we are running Scrum. So then it works as a charm.
Okay, one more question.
What happened in your company? What you start trying to make hybrid of waterfall and agile? There is a fail of projects, many or something.
Yeah, this is a Kaizen, constant improvement. So even though you are doing great success, you understand sometimes that you can do it better. So even though the clients come and the projects are going, but then you see that there is a gap where you can improve still, even though there's success. So that's the Kaizen approach. So if you're doing something great, you can sit with a cup of coffee or beer or whatever and think, maybe I can do it even better. So that's the challenge.
Learn all your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How do you deliver value-added increments in building, for example, hardware, physical boxes?
Yeah. So if you have physical boxes, for example, for traditional CSE project manager, if you would ask this question, he would answer, it's not possible. Yeah, so because you have to roll up everything, etc. But when you think, again, you can do it pilots, for example. If you do it everything big bang approach, then you fail also big bang. There's a big failure. But if you do it like one pilot and then the big bang, the rest of it, that also works. So then you reduce and mitigate the risks up front. Yeah, so that's just a different perspective. That's a challenge for all the PMI guys. Think differently. Yeah.
Okay, so more hands here.
Let's say you are running a company, everything is based on Agile, communication is based in teams, and you are failing always, all the time. Would you go for Waterfall?
And, what's the question in the beginning?
Would you go for Waterfall? You are losing always on Agile. You're failing always.
You tried it?
No, just a question.
Okay, if you're failing totally on Agile, the Waterfall would only, I believe, would be just a trying. So Agile and failing, that's something really wrong, because what you get from the Agile, the team works together. So if they are failing at that point, so maybe they are inexperienced, they are just not in the right place. And maybe they don't have any satisfaction doing that work. You have to love that work, as Matthias mentioned, right? Yeah.
Okay, so more hands.
Thank you. A question about infrastructure projects, IT infrastructure. So, as I understand, it currently operates in your organization as a mix between Waterfall and Agile, right? So, the question is, which parts were changed to Agile, and where was the biggest business benefit, and which parts work the best in Agile way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, if you have a pure infrastructure project, and that is quite okay with the traditional based approach, then you look forward what you can improve. For example, you can improve your initiation phase at the beginning. So you do not invest all the money for that phase, and at the end of the day, you open the covers and everyone goes, whoa, what is that? Or at the worst, you do the execution, and then the client comes and they say, whoa, the performance is still low. What did you do? So your planning was bad. So in that case, you can do some point of concept, proof of concepts, etc. You do on the piloting. So you do those also in the traditional world. So that's a lot of things how you can adapt one another practice. The project leadership is essential to pick those tools. Either it's one tool or another, so it depends on the situation. Yeah.
I have one question. Is it possible to use your Agile Fall or Waterfall method for reverse engineering processes and reverse engineering related projects?
Okay. So I believe yes, that is also possible if you have reverse engineering project, for example, some system you need to, like, for example, reverse engineer and rebuild. You can also do that, especially involving the feedback loops. From the feedback loops, you can come from the customer to end users and get this reverse process getting much faster and more working better. So automated tools with agile mentality and methodology may do really good work here. Yeah, the best practices comes from traditional world and basically just named on the agile. So yeah, it's also possible.
Okay, more questions.
How leadership position is fulfilled in your projects in general? Is it kind of rules or anarchy maybe? Yeah.
What was the question? Just gonna.
how you fulfill your leadership position. You have mentioned a few times about it, that it is really necessary to have one leader that will move the project forward. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good.
I have a similar question. I mean, if I understand the colleague correctly, what is the values of good leadership in the project? What you value most, and what this hybrid approach, what benefits most? What kind of leadership?
Okay, so those are the two questions, and I will answer both. All right. So in this position, I would say for first question, answer is very simple. If you are a project leader, a good one, then you have to make all others project leaders in their field. If he is engineer, you have to transport this mindset of project leadership and to understand the business need, the value you create. So if you remember the first keynote talks, you work for the client. You need to bring the value. So even if you are a cleaner at a company, you also should understand the value. That's a challenge for the project leader. So if you understand the business need, you are able then to communicate that with your team. So to spread around. And about the competences from project leader, there are a lot. First of all, you have to understand the tools, the plate, and the different tools you may use to eat. For example, if you have the elephant, you know this famous maybe. So you have to eat it bit by bit. You cannot eat it by one. So you have to understand what is your scope, what is your challenge as a project leader, and be able to pick the tools. Yeah.
Okay, and I think the last question here at the end.
Hello, my name is Giedris. I have a question. First of all, if you want to manage a project, you have to get the project, right? And you have to make a bid for your, let's say, for some company, right? How do you define the delivery days? Because previously mentioned by Matthias, he said, do not specify the delivery date, just say, oh, we'll deliver it in Q4. Yeah. How do you combine it with Agile? Basically, how do you deliver, and how do you win bids? Thanks.
Yeah. If it's possible, we do just that the way. So if the client accepts that, and if it's feasible for him, we do just this way. And if it's not this way, then we accept it more from date, but with the explanation. So for example, this is also a part for client to pick. If he wants a fixed price, he has to understand that it's like more. That will cost at the end of the project, because we're doing ROM. So the estimations are ROM based, so he has to understand that. So if you want to buy a car, you have to understand what mark and what price you will pay for that. Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, now the last one.
Okay, thank you very much. As you are highly experienced guys, so can you just, I don't know, say for all of us your greatest success and losses, and the reasons why it happened, and what have you learned from this? Just like that.
Okay. Yeah, greatest success and losses. I think this is an ongoing story. We can catch up with a cup of coffee or beer about that. But yeah, the things, but its greatest success, I think, is Lithuania delivery centers, which is based here, because the people here in Lithuania are really computer literate. I mean it. So this is a great success, I would say, overall. You didn't specify the scope, so I'm interpreting. Yeah, so this is the great success, because the centers which are based in Lithuania deliver the really big value. It doesn't matter what company we're working for. So this is a great success, and I'm really proud to be part of this success here in Lithuania. The biggest loss, I don't know, maybe I have to think about it.
Yeah, during the coffee break, and now you have to decide.
Yeah, I think I will pick one question, yeah, and maybe Valdas can support with another. What do you think?
Yeah,
maybe one question you liked. Maybe one question you liked a lot.
I picked the last one.
Okay, so well, I really liked one question, which was from the project leadership. So I have to decide. So between
so it's two questions and one prize.
I think you should go like this now. All right. Please, yeah. So please do it like this, yeah, and then you will know who is the winner. Okay, that's interesting.
There is the possibility to divide the present.
So, okay, cool. Thank you.
And the last question?
Last question, the girl.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so now we also have presents for our speakers. So. Big presents, one for Šarūnas and one for Valdas.
Agile tool, cool.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, and one last thing, just, thanks. One last thing, just visit the stand if you have more questions you forgot to ask, etc. You can go to the stand and we'll also be there. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good presentation.
And now a couple minutes to prepare for the last marshmallow challenge.
Yeah.
In a couple minutes here.
Yes, I will, yeah, definitely.